he is, God, he has got so much damn potential.
He definitely does.
Oh! Oh! You better stop playing. You better stop playing. That is nothing to play with. That big mother in front of you, man.
Ooh.
That's it over, dog. Oh! 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 That's a wrap. Don't get up. Don't get up. Stay out. Oh!
That's crazy.
Ooh! Oh! Shit!
They're gonna step in the octagon. That what in the ring.
The ring, yes.
That's what's gonna happen.
No, I know.
Fight.
But who do you think wins? What do you think actually happens in the fight?
I think AJ win. I mean, do you think otherwise?
Well, do you think, like, I think there's a lot of people who think he's going to knock him out in the first round.
Yeah, I would say so. But why exactly Jake Paul took that fight? That's what I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
You know, what is his strategy?
Do you think it's dangerous? Do you think it's foolish for his health to take a fight? You've been in there with AJ. You know how good he is. Do you think it's foolish for him to take this fight?
Not foolish, but again, I don't know I don't understand. He's the only one that can know the reason, and I'm sure they thought that through, right? He didn't just wake up out of the blue and decide to pick.
The atmosphere surrounding the event was heavy, charged with a specific kind of electricity that only exists when the theatrical world of social media influence collides head-on with the cold, hard granite of heavyweight boxing supremacy. There has always been talk of potential, of what a man can do when he dedicates his life to the sweet science, but the night Anthony Joshua stood across the ring from Jake Paul, that potential was converted into kinetic energy, resulting in a display that was as terrifying as it was educational. This was not merely a sporting contest. It was a public unraveling of a narrative that had been carefully constructed over years, dismantled in minutes by a man who treats the ring not as a content stage, but as a hunting ground.
Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. What have we got here?
As I look at it, you know, for the fans, it put boxing still on the map because it keeps boxing relevant. Having exhibition fights like this, different celebrities and different things like that. I look at it as a fun thing for fans and stuff like that. I don't really take it seriously, you know, because, you know, we in the business of boxing. That right there is just, you know, exhibition stuff. But I'm hearing they say it's a real fight. But yeah, it's a real fight because both guys are getting in a fight. You know, I'm still the one that be thinking certain things are scripted as well too. So, but we'll see. You know, I always say may the best man win, and main thing about it, may those guys go in there and have a hell of a lot.
The fight played out exactly as the purists expected, though perhaps the duration was the only surprise. It went a little longer than the instantaneous destruction some predicted, but that extension only served to make the lesson more severe. It was a beautiful, brutal procession. It was exactly what the boxing world needed to see, and exactly the reality check Jake Paul had been flirting with for his entire career.
Very difficult to go in, like, you know, out the ring for 14 months and just be razor sharp with a guy running. And so, yeah, probably 2 or 3 rounds more than expected. But fair play to Jake Paul. It was a lot tougher than I thought, and he took a lot more shots than I thought he could.
What did AJ tell you inside the ring about the fight or how Jake?
Oh, he said, oh, you were shouting at me, rushing me. I said, yeah, I just wanted, you know. But, like, I think he was always going to take his time. I think he was always going to be the guy that wasn't just going to go in there erratic. I said this earlier. And if Jake was aggressive, then I think he would have actually got caught earlier. But he was smart. Like, his movement was good. He was clever in the clinch. I was actually impressed. But, you know, obviously, there was a massive gulf between them, and it was only a matter of time. But listen, fair play. As I said, he did more rounds than expected.
When Mike Tyson, a man who knows something about violence, speaks about a knockout, the world listens. His first reaction to the conclusion of the bout was one of stunned appreciation. Tyson, having watched generations of fighters, saw in Joshua the precision and power that separates the elite from the enthusiastic. He witnessed a level of execution that left him visibly moved, noting that Joshua didn't just hit the target, he punched through it. Tyson's critique of the technique was fascinating, emphasizing the biomechanics of a true finisher. He spoke about throwing the punch with full force without the telegraphing drawback of the hand, a subtle distinction that allows a champion to deliver devastation before the opponent's brain can even register the threat. For Jake Paul, the night was a systematic exposure. The narrative before the bell was one of disruption, of a new age taking over. But once the leather began to fly,
Yo! Don't mind me. Just smoking on that Jake Paul pack. Honestly, Jake Paul, trash. Tommy Fury, trash.
the illusion evaporated. Observers noted that Jake was on the canvas frequently, not always from knockdowns, but stumbling, slipping, going down on all fours nearly 20 times in a display of sheer desperation. It looked less like a boxing match and more like a survival instinct kicking in against a predator. Joshua stood there, calm, monolithic, and ruthlessly efficient, punching him up and dictating the terms of engagement with an almost bored detachment. It was a performance that had critics and fans alike nodding in grim satisfaction. While some might have wished for Joshua to close the show sooner, to unleash that signature right hand in the opening moments, the prolonged beating served a different purpose.
You know, AJ couldn't get to grips with him, obviously. Jake had a really good game plan, moving his feet, lateral movement, slipping and sliding. Obviously, been practicing that a lot in sparring. And you got to give him credit. He came out there and gave it a good go. Took his licks like a man, didn't complain. You know, fighting a much bigger, more established, world-class fighter. So that's usually what happened. What was always going to happen. You know, a lot of people thought he would only last 1 round, 2 rounds, but you know, you got to give Jake credit. You know, he went out there and had a solid game plan and was implementing it at times, was landing shots and was avoiding getting hit with the big shots. You know, but there's a reason we have weight categories in boxing, and I'd say he sticks with, you know, the cruiserweight division where the guys are the same size as him, because that, you know, without having the schooling, the many years, I was able to give away 100 pounds in weight because I've been boxing since I was 10. I was an international amateur and world champion at cruiserweight. That's why I was able to do the big jump and use the tactics that he used to win the heavyweight championship. But so credit to him, nothing but respect for Jake Paul for putting on such an event and putting himself in harm's way.
That was incredible. In my view, that was a victory on all fronts. Like, minus the actual victory, obviously, of course, but bro, like, no one expected him in the last 6 rounds with AJ. In my opinion, he won 4 of them. People will argue that he at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness. You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet. Who's 40 pounds heavier than him, is 6 inches taller. That's insane. He's one of the most skilled fighters on the planet. My brother, as a fucking YouTuber, went 6 rounds with him fighting with a broken jaw and rolled ankle. I'm so proud of him. That was just unbelievable.
It allowed the audience to see every weakness in Paul's game exposed under the bright lights. Joshua didn't just win. He stripped his opponent of the mystique that had protected him for so long. Johnny Nelson, a man who has seen every archetype of fighter pass through the ropes, captured the essence of the dismantling perfectly. He noted that while the bloodthirsty crowd wanted a clean, instant knockout to erase the Jake Paul experiment immediately, the reality of what happened was far worse for the influencer. Nelson argued that he didn't want to see a quick unconsciousness. He wanted to see Jake get beat up. He wanted to see the reality of the sport kick in, to watch the confidence and self-belief be ripped out of him round by round. And that is precisely what unfolded. It wasn't a flash of light and then darkness. It was a slow, agonizing realization that he did not belong. The sight of Jake dropping to his knees, falling repeatedly, was the physical manifestation of his internal monologue shifting from bravado to panic. Joshua broke his spirit before he broke his jaw, forcing him to confront limits that no amount of marketing budget can overcome. The knockout when it finally arrived, was a moment of such seismic impact that it brought Joe Rogan to his feet. Rogan, who has sat ringside for thousands of fights across disciplines, admitted that he physically couldn't remain seated. The sheer magnitude of the power, the timing, and the finality of the blow were overwhelming. He called it one of the greatest knockouts of all time, a hyperbole perhaps born of the adrenaline of the moment, but rooted in the stark visual of a professional ending a pretender. It was the convergence of skill, experience, and raw power that the hype train simply could not withstand. Joshua proved that there are levels to this game that cannot be leaped over, only climbed through years of suffering and discipline. Even Anthony Joshua, in the aftermath, remained the stoic perfectionist. He openly admitted it wasn't his finest night, a terrifying thought considering the damage he inflicted. The objective had been clear: pin him down, hurt him, and end the charade. Joshua felt it took a bit longer than he planned, a testament to his own high standards. He had been asked to deliver a punishment, and that was the singular thought occupying his mind. There was no joy in the cruelty, just the execution of a professional duty. Joseph Parker echoed this sentiment, highlighting the calculated approach Joshua took. It wasn't chaos, it was a hunt. Joshua took his time, chased his quarry down, unloaded his artillery, and secured the result. It was methodical, the work of a seasoned veteran who refused to rush and risk a mistake, preferring instead to suffocate his opponent slowly. Eddie Hearn, never one to mince words when it comes to a star heavyweight, pointed out a detail that many might have missed in the flurry of the finish. He noted the early rounds where Jake Paul landed flush 4-5 times, and Joshua didn't even flinch. That, Hearn argued, was the true horror for the other corner. To hit a man with everything you have and watch him walk through it like you are a ghost is an abomination to a fighter's confidence. It solidified Joshua's status, not just as a heavy hitter, but as a monster in the division. It showcased the durability that underpins his offense. You cannot play at being a heavyweight, you have to be made of something different. The resilience Joshua displayed was a silent message that echoed louder than any punch. You cannot hurt me, and I am going to hurt you. Daniel Cormier, with the analytical eye of a double champion, nailed the reality of the dynamic. Joshua looked like he was fighting a man who was simply not on his level. It appeared effortless, a masterclass in managing distance and pace against someone who had overestimated their own capabilities. Cormier noted the control, the way Joshua dictated where the fight took place, and when the exchanges happened. It was a harsh lesson in the gap between a world-class athlete and a conditioned amateur. Every movement Joshua made highlighted this disparity, leaving no room for debate. Jake Paul was outclassed in every metric: speed, power, IQ, and instinct. The dominance was total. The aftermath in the locker room revealed the physical toll of that dominance. Jake Paul, stripped of the persona, admitted the damage. He believed his jaw was broken, a brutal souvenir from one of the best to ever lace up gloves. There was a strange, humbled respect in his admission. He had asked for the smoke, and he had choked on it. Logan Paul, watching his brother get dismantled, could only offer respect for the toughness displayed. He highlighted the absurdity of the situation: Jake, with a rolled ankle and a broken jaw, still trying to fight back against a giant. It was a testament to Jake's heart, certainly, but more so a testament to Joshua's terrifying capability. Logan pointed out the sheer audacity required to step in the ring with a man 40 pounds heavier and inches taller, a man who knocks people out for a living. It separated the brave from the foolish, but ultimately, the result was written in the physics of the mismatch. Tyson Fury's reaction, usually filled with bluster and contrarianism, was one of genuine astonishment. Even the Gypsy King had to acknowledge the precision on display. To see a fellow giant of the sport react with such visible shock speaks volumes about the quality of the finish. It wasn't just that Joshua won, it was how he won. He executed a strategy that left seasoned professionals shaking their heads in disbelief. It was a reminder to the entire division that Anthony Joshua remains a premier threat, a man who can turn the lights out on anyone if given the opening. The knockout was efficient, masterful, and undeniable. Dave Allen, offering the perspective of the working fighter, called it what it was: a one-sided beatdown. He gave credit to Jake's fitness and cleverness, acknowledging that against a lesser man, the YouTuber might make a good journeyman. But against the elite? It wasn't a fight. It was an exhibition of cruelty. The gap in ring IQ was a chasm. Joshua dictated every second, proving that natural talent refined by discipline will always eclipse hype and social media fame. The fight exposed the hard limit of how far charisma can carry you in a sport designed to hurt you. Ariel Helwani captured the intimidation factor that Joshua brings to the canvas. He spoke of wincing every time Joshua threw a punch, terrified by the leverage and mass behind the blows. He described Joshua's left hook as terrifying and his right hand as a weapon that could end the night at any moment.